Hello? Hello? And welcome? We are gonna be trying our darndest tonight to play some classic ZX Spectrum hits. I don't know how in the world they found out about this culture, but as the best friends would say, oi, me Specky. Oi, mate, what's up? I'm gonna give a bash on me old Specky, eh? The ZX Spectrum was a popular, I don't want to say gaming computer, but that's pretty much what it was primarily used for and really is primarily remembered for. Almost like the Amiga, which I guess was more explicit about what kids were actually using it for. This is a computer from 1982, I think. Let me check that date because that's important. Which 80 it is very important because in the world of personal computing, 1984 is going to be pretty darn different than 1982, which is going to be pretty darn different than 1988, which is going to be a complete revolutionary paradigm shift from 1994. The world of personal computers was moving extremely fast, and this is one of the earlier examples of a personal computer. 82 in the UK, 83 in Germany. Apparently it came out in the US in 83, and I don't think anyone really remembers it over here. But this was a 1982 personal computer that was surprisingly cheap and user-friendly and easy to hook up and run and popular with kids in school for how ridiculously overwhelmingly intimidating of an experience it is now. It looks like what I have loaded is a version from 1986, but trying to play some older games on the same emulator involves jumping through some hoops and stuff, and for some reason Eddie wants to jump up in my lap and say hi. I hope nothing's bothering him, because it's a little early in the stream to be doing this, Eddie. Usually you start doing this at like 11 o'clock when it's getting closer to bathroom time and pee time. But I've spent the past half hour or so trying to get some games running. I had Manic Miner going for a few minutes. I had Set Willy going for a few minutes. There were some sample games included in the emulator directories, but the amount of hoops I'm having to jump through and what the websites look like, how the websites are designed, and how many dead links are around, unfortunately, is not what I'm familiar with. And it is kind of boggling my mind because this was popular with kids in the 80s, and there's something like 16,000 different games that were made for it. This was a major platform, but it's a relic from a day when you... Oh, God. Eddie, I'm gonna have to get Eddie down because he's snagging the mic cable here. I can't, Eddie. Hang on, hold that thought. We're having technical difficulties and medical technicality. Okay. God. He's got the microphone cable snagged. Eddie, careful. I don't want you to pull this thing out of the computer and break something. How? Even where? Okay. Okay, the microphone's going over there for a second. Oh my God. There. Okay. Okay. I am really off to a great start tonight. Amazing, right? So I've tried loading in some games and they wouldn't like load correctly unless some other settings are input correctly. One of which is that you need to choose which version of the ZX Spectrum you want to use. There's about 3 here. There's a 16 kilobyte model, a 48 kilobyte, and a 128 kilobyte. I guess that's referring to how much RAM it has. But I think, and I don't really know for sure, that's something I need to be that all the other options on the menu are things I don't need to worry about as much. Actually, it's not capturing the window emulators. It's not capturing the window border with the Windows drop-down stuff. Okay, we gotta change the way we're capturing screen here. We're gonna have to display capture, and that's gonna be a little tricky right now. You know what? We're not display capturing. We're window capturing. That's just going to be another layer of technical hoops to jump through. But there's 3 primary main versions of the ZX Spectrum associated with various years of the 80s, and I think I got the 86 one here, the 128 kilobyte one loaded up. But if I switch to the 16 kilobyte model, shit, man, I don't know. I was using a different version of a ZX Spectrum emulator, and this like operating system style with Windows thing was not coming up. A text prompt was coming up, which I kind of was expecting because like some of these old 80s computers didn't really have operating systems as we know them today. They accepted programming languages that you as an 8-year-old child was expected to read a book and learn. Sometimes it was expected that you would make games entirely from scratch by copying the code from magazines and trying to find where you put your typos for hours. Most of the time, though, the kids were getting pirated games on cassette tapes that they would then run through another layer of pirated software called loaders that would change the amount of loading times dramatically. And that's also important because another thing we're going to run into here that I'm not quite sure I was navigating correctly is how loading times work in the ZX Spectrum era. These extremely simple games that are running on 128K or less of RAM would sometimes take 5 whole minutes to load, which is absolutely unheard of compared to nowadays. There was actually a... why is the desktop audio... what the fuck is going on? This is like... OBS is showing that desktop audio is coming through, but I'm not hearing it. I hear that, but right now... I hear nothing but silence, but I'm seeing the decibel meter on OBS say that there should be a... That meter's filling up somewhere between 40 and 50%. 80s PC gaming... games don't even boot. I can never get my head around these things. Is Jet Set Willy the prequel to Jet Set... No, it has nothing to do with it. Jet Set Radio was a reboot. No, it wasn't. Oh man, the Code Wheels, 80s PC game. Yeah, that's the other thing. Anti-piracy. So when I finally did get Jet Set Willy loaded in and was ready to... and actually playing, I had to fucking use... I had to decipher a cryptographic, color-coded cipher sheet from the games manual that the emulation website will provide for you, but it was not colorblind friendly. We're like 30 years before that was ever even considered something worthy. I'm also still weirded out by how the software says that that audio is coming through and I'm absolutely not hearing it. So I managed to differentiate between magenta and purple and green and lime, red and magenta, blue and purple, cyan and purple, something like that. There was a very color unfriendly, color coded cipher I had to decipher to play Jet Set Willy. And when I did get a ROM equivalent, they're not really ROMs. There's like 4 different file formats I have to wrap my head around here that correspond with the different kinds of cassette tapes. And once I finally did get Jetpac running in here, and Jetpac was the first game on my list I wanted to try, I never got through the loading. And if you are expected to wait through 5 minutes of loading time, the emulator provides a fast forward button. And I held this fast forward button for a while and wasn't seeing anything happening. So the emulator does have a toolbar of Windows style. Hey, get yourself a nice gallon of gas. Oh man, with $20 I can buy 4 of those these days. Thank you, Kai Huevas. I won't be buying gas, but I will be going to the lawsuit. Now I'm gonna try Jetpac. Jetpac is the only one of these games I think I have exhaustively played for a while, and it was mostly because it was included as a mini game in Donkey Kong 64. Apparently, Rare in 1999 or whenever that game was made still had the rights to some projects their older programmers made when they were under a different label called, this is so funny, Super Play the Game. One of the things that's so interesting about ZX Spectrum is that you see surprisingly modern scenes of indie game development or modding show up decades before it should. And I think it has something to do with what a pain in the ass it sometimes was to make these games. Okay, I'm going to my C emulation ZX Spectrum folder. Jet Set Willy. I don't want Jet Set Willy. I want Jetpac. Where did Jetpac go? ZX Spectrum games. I see my Jet Set Willy file in there, but I don't see Jetpac. I think I remember downloading a version of it. Jetpac.scr. Okay. Yeah, it's not this emulator is not looking at SCR files by default. It's a TZX file. I don't know what that stands for, but I wonder if it has something to do with tapes. So we're gonna load jetpac.scr. Yeah, Jetpac is loading. Jetpac is loading. Jetpac is loading from Ultimate Play the Game. Now, before the setup, I did not have a Twitch chat I could talk to fill the time here, because this might take 5 whole minutes of real time. The emulator has a fast forward button if you press page up. Page up. Oh, Jetpac is loading, Jetpac is loading, Jetpac is loading. Look at how fast it's going. So I'm going to talk for a few minutes here. And I really wish there was a progress bar or something. Man, in the 90s when you would load a game from a disc, in the 90s when you would load software onto your computer even from a hard drive, in the 90s progress bars appeared and it was a revolution. We're looking at an era from before progress bars. Now, when I was playing Jetpac as a minigame on Donkey Kong 64, you didn't have to wait through this. But if you played Jetpac on an actual ZX Spectrum back in the 80s, you would have had to wait for quite a while. And the sort of middleware software loaders that arose would speed this time up dramatically, but sometimes alter the game with cute little messages from the software pirates. So what are you guys up to these days? I got some fun stories to share. I've had a cool week. You remember how my HOA sent me gore photos last year for complaining about how Airbnbs were taking over the building? And then you remember how they decided to sue my neighbors for defamation and tortious interference of business. Because they wanted to make some case about them interfering with the Airbnb business, even though they were doing exactly what is to be expected of residents in an HOA business. Yeah, you remember, right? Guess what? That law firm has withdrawn as counsel from the HOA. They are no longer a factor. I remember it being incredibly weird that they even decided to do that in the first place, but that defamation case went absolutely nowhere for 7 months. It's like the HOA just filed it to freak the targets out and then forgot. The targets of that lawsuit had to spend hours making filings, but were mostly defending themselves pro se and basically waiting for anti-slap laws to kick in after, or waiting for a default summary judgment to happen, and it looks like that's what's about to happen. I did not expect the lawyers to get the fuck out. It sounds like that whole firm does not want to be associated with this HOA at all. They rage quit, yeah. The HOA does have other lawsuits going on with other lawyers, but the stupidest, most absolute, dumbest, incredibly absolute windmill-brained lawsuit of them all was, it's not over yet, but it looks like the lawyers who are representing on that one have absolutely decided to rage quit. Okay, so I'm still holding down this fast forward button, waiting to see if this thing will ever finish up. And do Twitch chat have time messages, timestamps? Has it been 5 minutes? When will it be 5 minutes? Did you find any nonfiction spy games? I found something that had a former CIA and KGB operatives as advisor, but it was nonfiction. Interesting thing, I've seen some old emulated games networked rather than trying to make parts of the game network. They just sync the current game state because of how little memory is being used. That's cute. Won't someone think of the Airbnbs? They have to cram so many bunk beds in them. God damn, if you want to see like some of the most childish adult babies, you can look at some of the hearings about SB 409 that got passed. If you look at some of the Facebook, if you look at the hearings, you'll see these people in real life, chubby white guys from the suburb who look absolutely soft, like they would melt in the sun. If you look at the comments on Facebook, you'll see them like be really... They'll say things like, but it's gonna make our pool more expensive. Who gives a fucking shit? The elderly in my building, some of them are having to walk uphill into oncoming traffic in the parking garage. We're not worried about a pool. If you're worried about a pool, that means you have significantly less to worry about than the people this law is actually about. This thing's not finishing, isn't it? I don't think this thing's going to finish. From what I have been conditioned to expect of modern games, this looks like a glitch. Now, I don't really know if I'll know for sure until I actually wait for the full 5 minutes. But until then, I can browse some of the documentation on the fan sites here. How did I get it to hold? Okay, if I change windows, we can keep it fast forwarding without me. Whoa! Hang on, slow down, slow down, slow down. What are we doing? Oh, no, nope, Jetpac is still loading. If I tap a key, it'll make a thumpy noise, and there was a problem with that earlier. But if I hold page up and go off window, let's get an OBS and get some window capture of what the fan sites for this stuff look like. Because this is another thing that I'm weirded out by here. The website that you go to download the equivalent of a ROM file for this, I don't know if you call it a ROM when it's like an 80s computer instead of a console. Man, I don't know. DOSBox is not this complicated. But that's also a 90s computer. American computer culture and European computer culture are very different. And I think that has to do with how consoles were popular in the United States. Because the ZX Spectrum, as much of a pain in the ass as it might have been to learn how to code, the games that actually came out for it are kind of sick. They're rad. Jetpac is a ton of fun. It was more fun than Donkey Kong 64. I don't know if I spent as many hours playing it as I did Donkey Kong 64, and I don't know if I was aware of that as a kid. But I think nowadays, something like Jetpac would be regarded as a more pure, honest, earnest, well-designed, elegant designed example of a video game than Donkey Kong 64, which is kind of soulless and derivative by comparison. I'm trying to keep my train of thought while also reorganizing those around and sliding them all over the place. Because if we go over to the worldofspectrum.org fan site where they're going to have a repository of game downloads here, you'll see that Jetpac, I don't know if I'm seeing it here, links, Moby Games. I saw something on one of these websites saying that Jetpac actually can't really be properly emulated at all in this emulator because the emulators don't emulate a hardware hack that became incredibly popular but was apparently kind of illegal. It might not against the laws of the state, but against like the contract of the company somehow, that allowed these machines to play Jetpac, even though Jetpac was like this is the example of the classic ZX Spectrum game I'm thinking of. If you grew up in Europe, you might be more familiar with names like Dizzy and Set Willy and Manic Miner. I'm going to try to play Exelon tonight if we'll get to it. There's some wild ones on this list that sound really fun, but back then you had to jump through hoops, and I'm somewhat pleased to say that nowadays you also have to jump through hoops. So we can try a different dump of Jetpac here. Jetpac John, Jetpac Bob, or Jetpac Neo, or Jetpacko? Which one do we want? I don't know. We want Jetpac. So worldofspectrum.net, this is boggling my mind, is a different thing than worldofspectrum.org. I don't think worldofspectrum.org hosts the game files like worldofspectrum.net does. So jetpack.tzx.zip is something I sure would like to download, but look at what happens when I click this link. Oh no, link is dead. Okay, so we can try a few of these others, and they'll kind of also be dead. Jetpack.scr is the one that I'm running right now. And this is not loading in the emulator. Even though it says it's loading, I think it's been 5 minutes, and we're still trying to load Jetpac. It's not happening. So let's see. This is more time than I gave it when I was trying to get this stuff set up. Worldofspectrum.net is garbage. Worldofspectrum.org is what I want, right? Is it? No, worldofspectrum.net is what you want. Worldofspectrum.org is garbage. Okay. It's confusing. It's kind of, I don't know, maybe if you grew up with this stuff, it's not as confusing, but I'm kind of confused. So there should be some different version, the Speccy equivalent of ROM dump. By God, another thing I had a problem with is that you can't put the word Speccy in a title of a Twitch stream. It gets mad at you for using a slur. And it's not even a slur. It's like dated insult slang against computer nerds who wear thick glasses, spectacles. It's British slang. I hope I'm right about that, actually, come to think of it. I really hope I'm not saying the wrong thing. Because if you type Speccy in the Twitch chat here, Speccy, it doesn't care. Speccy. You're correct about that. Don't worry. Good. Yeah, it does not censor it in the chat, but it will censor it in the title. So I named the stream, "Oi, mate, what's up? I'm going to give a bash on me old Speccy, eh?" with a K instead of a C, and that managed to circumvent that. The common slang that this system was referred to as is censored in the Twitch chat. Oh, and it is so common too. I'm looking at the picture again on my stream here, and you can see how among the world of 80s computers and what intimidating bullshit they would be, it does look like a very friendly product. The computer hardware was built into a keyboard, and you plugged it into your TV, and it used a keyboard-only interface. And I think that thing on top of it might be the cassette tape loader. I'm not entirely sure. This was also before mouses. Mouses were around. There was a fun aside in my Czechoslovakia gaming book about how the magazines that would also include giant 6-page long codes on building your own game would also give you like instructions on how to build your own mouse. Mice existed, but they were extremely uncommon. What was a lot more common was having a joystick by the keyboard. And sometimes it'll tell you to press the fire button or the brake button, and those are joystick buttons, and I don't really know what they refer to. The other thing you will notice, and you might have to squint a bit hard at this keyboard to see, that is not a normal keyboard. The ZX Spectrum keyboard, let me get a good close-up look on it. ZX Spectrum keyboard, because I was not prepared for this either. There are no arrow keys. At least the letters are arranged QWERTY style. There's no punctuation. You would use these function keys, the caps shift and the symbol shift, to get multiple functionalities out of each keyboard. So sometimes it tells me to press caps shift plus alt S for the brake to emulate the brake button. What the fuck is caps shift? Do I press caps lock or do I press shift? I feel like I'm Mr. Burns in the grocery store shopping for ketchup here. Like Or like I'm using Linux. Like, the guides will give you extremely basic instructions and pretend like you're a fucking idiot for not knowing where your cap shift button is when you're trying to emulate this on a modern Windows computer with a childhood from the 90s instead of the 80s where Windows was happening. Fun fact about Windows happening and how being a child of the 80s as a computer nerd is a fundamentally, radically different experience than being a computer nerd as a child in the 80s is that a lot of computer nerds from the 80s gradually became disillusioned with computers after Windows and Macintosh, mouse-driven Windows-style operating systems, because if you grew up with this stuff, you would know, in order just to play Jetpac, you would have to learn so many functions of the computer inside and out. And when you were, like, implementing cheat codes on this game, you were using machine code that very, very directly translated your keystrokes into electronic impulses on the microscopic scale of the RAM chips in a far more direct way, with way less geographic distance visualized between your finger strokes and stuff on the architecture of the chip itself changing, that a lot of those computer nerds never really warmed up to tinkering so much with modern operating systems up until the Raspberry Pi came around. And the concept of a small, versatile, kind of sort of operating system-less computer that was designed for tinkering, that would directly interface with all sorts of other gadgets and gizmos, ended up becoming the hobby projects of these computer nerds from the 80s who then grew up into the 2010s and still kept making stuff. The other thing is that if you were a computer nerd in the 80s, you knew how to code, you knew how to program. That directly translated into jobs in the 90s for the operating systems that were less fun to learn. I gotta find a different way to play Jetpac, because Jetpac is still loading. Alright, we might actually get a game running in the emulator properly, but until then, we're going to see if there's a browser-based version of it. Jetpac game online. Jetpac, play game here. Oh, Jetpac loaded! We did not get that. Oh, wait, we're not. Yeah, there we go. Jetpac loaded. Click here. Click here. What do they mean by click here? I was just talking about how mouses were not a thing. All right, one-player game. Let's remind ourselves of the instructions, though I don't remember this being very hard to figure out when I was a kid. The Acme Interstellar Transport Company is delivering spaceship kits to various planets in the solar system, throughout the galaxy, and a two-test pilot. All you have to do is assemble the rockets and thrust on to your next destination. But, as you don't often get the chance of a free trip across the galaxy, and space travel is oh so expensive, now is your chance to get rich? Okay, next in. What the hell is this? I'm clicking on things with a mouse. This is not the authentic 80s computing experience. Sounds simple, doesn't it? But before you go and make yourself a rich person in the whole universe, you must remember to refuel your spaceship every time you land on a planet with 6 fuel pods. All you collect are yours to keep. Oh good, we have a mega powerful quad photon laser phaser. Laser phaser. I kind of sort of skimmed over it earlier, but this is also the beginning of Rare, which was an amazing game studio until the 2010s. Maybe because the computer nerds from the 80s got disillusioned with what it's like using computers nowadays. Those aliens get upset when you collect all their value. But I think it's more because they got old and started retiring, and all the talent got replaced with different teams under the Microsoft version of the company versus the independent and Nintendo version of the company. Okay. Oh, there we go. Yeah, this is how the jetpack I remember. Damn. There's a very nice feel going on here. This is an 8-bit computer that barely even had an operating system at all, and most of the games that you play on it feel kind of choppy. I was running Manic Miner and Set Willy earlier, and they felt kind of choppy. Jetpac, on the other hand, feels smooth. There's a real sense of weight to the character here, and I remember this being very fun to play on an N64 controller as a minigame. The other thing that I think is kind of interesting going on here is it's more objective-oriented than it is... Oh, this is fun, actually. This is really... I was just talking about how the ZX Spectrum is famous for being a pain in the ass to get set up, but once you get going, the games are kind of rad. It's also a little more objective-oriented than an arcade game for kids to pop a quarter in and play for literally 30 seconds before having to endure another microtransaction. It's arcade style for sure, but the idea of collecting these pieces, bringing them back to a home base, and kind of sort of planning your movements out a little bit. You don't want to hit the edge of a screen if it's empty. You do want to hit an edge of a screen if it's filled with bad guys, because that means they're not going to respawn soon. You got to do a little bit of thinking. It's not very complicated. It's a 80s arcade-inspired action arcade game, but just having an objective to think about as you're blasting and packing away. Feels like there's a bit of complexity here for maybe smarter computer nerds as opposed to normal kids playing their normal console games on their normal television. And also this is British. A lot of these ZX Spectrum games are going to seem remarkably British compared to American and Japanese arcade games from the 80s. Well, we will get to that when we get to Set Willy and Manic Miner, if they're on the list. Ah! Sometimes the sound is awful! I'm lowering the volume here, because it sounded fine up until then, but now it doesn't. Ah! So, in my Czechoslovakian gaming book, they talked about how it was Jetpac. It was games like Exelon and Jetpac that were the sensory overload games. Some Czechoslovakian games existed before then, but would generally be slower and harder on the black and white. The other thing that ZX Speccy games do is I think you can't have more than 3 colors on the screen at once. 5. You couldn't have more than 3 colors on screen at once. Why did I talk about not having more than 3? Oh, and depending on how many assets were getting loaded into the memory, I think this is something that still actually happens on the American and Japanese console-style games I'm still familiar with. They would refresh the game logic on like a per screen line basis, where the programming behind the scenes wasn't exactly tracking sprites by coordinates of X and Y, but just refreshing the lines of the whole screen by the X-axis. I don't know if I'm describing it right. I'm visualizing it, but I was not there. I don't think I have the vocabulary I need to adequately explain the concept. Jetpac is not going to do some of the weirder stuff that you'll see in some of the other games that we'll get to, if we do manage to get to them. Jetpac might be the most normal one of these games. Hey! Oh, I can go to the other side of the screen! My options increase dramatically! Yeah! Jetpac kicks ass! I recommend Jetpac. If you would like to play a fun 80s arcade game you might not have played before, that still hits all the good notes, Jetpac. It's hard to go wrong with Jetpac. I think I was going to say how this does look like a Nintendo game, though. It looks like it could have been made on a Nintendo, but it feels a little different. It feels smooth. I mentioned there was a satisfying sense of weight and physics to it earlier, but compared to some of the cream of the crop Nintendo games, it's still not there. But compared to most computer games from the 80s, it's absolutely above the average. But compared to what computer games were like in America in the 80s, this is whiz-bang sensory overload. Computer games in America were relegated to, like, mostly MS-DOS stuff in the 80s. There was Commodore 64. That's where you had your flashier, more fun, wild computer games. MS-DOS games were for boring grown-ups and adults and text adventures. Commodore 64 games were colorful and action-packed and fast and fun, but also kind of sort of for computer nerds, because a lot of the same dynamics was going on, where you didn't have to know how to code to play Commodore 64 games, but you would have to work with a text-only interface and the cassette tapes, which meant a lot of piracy and middleware. Oh, geez, this is... Every now and then, I'm twisting my toes with the tension of getting close calls here. Oh, there's my fuel. I was wondering why I was not progressing for a while. Should I change the Twitch description to Jetpac? No, I'm not going to be playing Jetpac enough for that. So, did the Commodore 64 plug into television sets? I don't know. That was something about these 80s computers that I think has also been lost, is that a lot of gamers, when talking about the dynamics of gaming in the 80s, would say that, oh, you played computer games on a computer monitor and console games on a television. And that actually was not true. The ZX Speccy plugged into a television, the Atari ST plugged into a television. I don't remember if the Amiga or the Commodore did. The Amiga's actually a 90s computer. Whoa, what the hell are these guys? That's the other thing I love about Jetpac, is, the variety of enemy designs. You're supposed to be on a different planet, and it looks the same, but this is a functionally different enemy that requires a different kind of strategy. As a matter of fact, this seems remarkably easier compared to the bubbles that were attacking me when I was on Planet Bubble. Oops. How am I gonna track my progress here? Am I going by score or by levels? Because I think that was level 4. Is that green blob on the bottom edible, or is it an enemy? That's a very interesting question that I've been asking in a lot of the Speccy games I've been playing. Oh god, oh god. Whoa! Whoa! Ah! Are these guys homing in on me? So I think in Donkey Kong 64, in order to... Whoa! Yeah, they are homing on... These things are actually chasing me. They kind of have something... They don't have AI. They're just homing in on me. But it feels like they're significantly more intelligent enemies than the previous levels. Okay, I might want to shut up for a second and concentrate on Jetpac. This is fun. It feels good to play on a keyboard. So... Okay, let's see... Ah! See if I can eat that big green scone. What did that give me? Just points, maybe? Diamond is 200. Fuel is nothing. Radioactivity is 100. Who gives a shit about score? I guess I should ask some 80s gamers who lived through that. What was the big deal with scores? The first game I think I ever played in my life was Super Mario Bros. 3, so my formative frame of reference for a video game in general was one where the score was largely irrelevant, and the thing you really cared about was how much geographic distance you made your character cover. But yeah, Donkey Kong 64, one of the smartest things that game did was include a jetpack minigame and make you get a certain high score, I think, to get one of the collectible... They were golden bananas, but they were pretty much... What did they call them in Banjo-Kazooie? Jinjos? Jangos? Ah! To get one of the collectible currencies needed to cover more geographic distance and see new geography, you had to get a little good at Jetpac. You had to at least understand the basic strategy at play and how much the game had on offer. I think that's the other thing I'm feeling here, is that the enemy variety, it feels like they're giving you something that you weren't getting from arcade games. Arcade games were like mini games compared to Jetpac, even though they are the same following the same fundamentals of game design. But one thing I want to point out is that even as a 9-year-old or 10-year-old kid, whatever I was in 1999 playing Donkey Kong 64, I handled this like a champ. Then again, I grew up with NES games out of their era. I never really have had a problem playing old 8-bit pixel art games, and I think some kids my age even back then were. And one thing that was blowing my mind when I went to GDC in 2018 maybe, is that I was hanging out with a Zoomer kid who said that they regarded pixel art games kind of like how Black and White looks. Like they had a hard time imagining people having fun with 2D pixel art games, and that is something I've never felt. When I was a kid, I properly recognized how much ass Jetpac was kicking, and that it made a lot of sense that the pedigree of a supposedly high prestige, very competent, very skilled, award-winning legacy game developer like Rare would have made something so good as this even in their early days. I gotta wonder though, like, does it look fun? Like, does this look like as much fun as I am having in my brain? It's fast, it's colorful, it's a real-time action arcade game. Giving a Czechoslovakian kid something like this who've been playing Indiana Jones text adventures for most of their life would be sensory overload, and they'd start convulsing and have a seizure and die. And I might be feeling a little bit of that here. This is a really fun time. Oh, I get an extra life for going to a new planet. Okay. But I do want to point out that I downloaded a ZX Spectrum emulator and tinkered with it for a while and tried to figure out, I did not tinker with it long enough, the documentation on that stuff is also really sparse. And I could not get it to work. And usually when playing retro games, you don't want to use the browser version of this, but I guess the ZX Speccy games are so lightweight on their memory requirements that you can get them running into a browser at full speed. Why was my character stuck on the grass for a few frames there? Geez, these tribbles, these urchins, these puffballs are significantly harder than some of the later enemies I'll have to be navigating around. Goddamn, Jetpac is so cool. Ah! Farting my way to victory. Yeah, I really should not give a shit about collecting score stuff. I just want to see what the next enemy type is like. Next planet I can make it to. Oh shit, I just realized they give you iframes. That might have been a revolutionary concept at the time and might explain so much about why this is so fun. Is that after you die and restart, you're invincible for a couple seconds. There is, oh geez, the bubbles. There is conscious, a very keen sense of game design. I don't know if I would use the word conscious, because they might have not known what that is yet. They didn't have that word floating through their head. When it comes to just making it feel good in your hand, like your fingers are directly connected to something that has weight, and inertia, and a feeling to it, and those iframes are part of that. It succeeds spectacularly. So this is from 1983. Did the NES come out in the States in 84, or was it 82? I think it was 82. So there were comparable games in America, in Japan. But I do not remember Jetpac from my childhood outside of that Donkey Kong 64 minigame. I don't think they ever made an arcade version that became popular internationally. You would play this on a European computer. It was probably intended mostly for a British market. But this kicks ass, and you can see like stuff like that iframes. Some nascent sense for what basic rules of good game design and good game feel should go like, and how the wide variety in enemies gives you a very strong motivation to see what's next. It feels good in your hands, and whatever is next on the next planet is a pretty different type of enemy, and it's a nice surprise to get there. Ah! Ah! Like every single game I've ever played on Twitch, I seem to be getting worse at it the more I play, and talking definitely contributes to a certain depletion of brain cells that seems to be required to play at full capacity. Oh, look at these cool ass bounces I'm doing. Like, I wish you could hear the keyboard, because you can hear these keys slapping. Like, there is a real heat in this room here. Okay, I'm gonna try to shut up for a while and concentrate. See if I do better this time. Ah, fuck. Oh yeah, I keep forgetting that I can go from one side of the screen to another. Ah, but you don't want to be hanging out at the edge of the screen. You only want to really do that emergency as part of some kind of existing maneuver. I guess it kind of also... Oh, fuck, I'm talking. It's kind of funny that Rare, the version of Rare that I'm familiar with as a kid growing up, was famous for having bouncy, slippery characters. The Adventures of Scrimblow, Blimbo, and the bounce pads. A big interest in... Jesus Christ, can I just quick restart? This game has as much of an interest in making your character feel good that you're platforming around with precision as their N64 era platformer game. Ah. Jeez. Still bad at it. I was doing a lot better during my second attempt. Where's the fuel? Huh. Wait a second. Should I be going after the score items because they might give me extra lives when I reach a certain threshold? Okay. With a bit of an interest paid on the rate of fire, I can... I'm saturating the edges of the screen with enough of it. What do I do in that kind of situation where I'm cornered? Oh my god. I'm not getting better at this. Okay. I just want to give it one more spirited, good attempt, and that means if I die early, I'm going to restart, but one more real attempt. How are your eyes supposed to track the numbers on the scoreboard at the same time as the... Oh, God, I didn't even see what killed me, because I had to glance away for a bit. Was it because this was supposed to be played on a tiny television? Oh, and I can speak from experience that this game will look a lot better on a tiny television. Okay, I got an extra life that time. Too many tribbles. Oh. Ugh. It's a very funny name for the developer, too. Super Play the Game. I don't even think the, like, super moniker. Holy shit. Oh, 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 oh. I'm gonna shut up. I'm gonna shut up. I can't. I can't talk and do that at the same time. Monkey noises. God! Woo! I can't say a single word. I am not allowed. As soon as I start talking, the world. Ah! This is infuriating. I want to. Oh my god. See, I want to get back to where I was so bad though. Okay, that was not a spirited attempt. I died at like level 2 at the tribbles. Hmm. Why does it say copyright 2005? Maybe this was a new version made in... Don't talk! Stop talking, George! Oh, it's flash conversion. That might mean that a lot of what I just said regarding the game feel could possibly be bullshit. Yeah, how much action script is going on here? God! No. Ugh. This isn't a real attempt to. I'm not getting anywhere. We're dying and retrying. crap, that's a lot of tribbles. Ugh. Ah! No! Excuse me! I was shooting into that direction just to prepare for exactly that. It's the worst when they put them on the edge of the screen, when you gotta get fuel at the edge of the screen. I think the strategy is to make sure the screen is filled up in the center before you approach the edges, but why did they even put them on the edges and make me have to think about that? Look, it's at the edge! Oh, God! Felt like oh, man. Oh. It's just, I'm Georging. I can't do the George anymore. Ugh. Okay, yeah, like, what do I do about this guy? I guess I just do that. Oh, no. Oh, oh, oh. Aha! Oh, ooh, okay. I'm having a pretty decent run here. I got past the tribbles. Oh no. Just remembered I hated the bubbles even more back when I used to be making progress at this game. Uh, 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 uh. What? Okay. No, 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 no! No! We still have a chance! I guess we'll never go to that level where the enemies were remarkably easier than the enemies from the earlier game. It's fun, but there was some bullshit in there. I feel like I was experiencing bullshit whenever I had to grab something at the edge of the screen where enemies will unpredictably spawn into. So that was kind of bullshit. Let's see what the Twitch chat had to say about this. Okay, now pass the controller here too. It's hard to play, talk, and eat at the same time. It feels good in your hand, makes your brain your game iframes. I thought it was 85, but it could be wrong. Jetpac was 83. Setting the category to retro might peak. Is that how this works? Oh, I didn't even know. Okay, I guess the game I'm playing is just retro. If I type in ZX Spectrum, comes up. Yeah, nothing. Nothing that we're looking for. All right, so the next game on my list is called Michael Singleton's Lords of Midnight. Apparently, it's actually just called Lords of Midnight, but I had it saved on my list as Michael Singleton's Lords of Midnight, where there's authorship. Because back in the 80s, there he is, the computer nerd from the 80s. Games were oftentimes made by like one or two people, and were surprisingly a lot closer to indie games than what the industry would consolidate towards later. So let's go through the whole experience here, because the whole emulating experience, because I don't think I downloaded a dump of this game. Let's try to simulate the experience of tracking down a suspicious. Wait a second! No, hang on, you guys. Guess what? Guess what's been happening in the background this whole time? Boop. Jetpac is loading. Jetpac's never gonna finish loading. Jetpac has been loading in fast forward mode that entire time. Let's reset the Speccy emulator and try to find a version of the Lords of Midnight on these old retro game websites, which aren't easy to search through. Which one was it? Yeah, Jetpac, worldofspectrum.net. No, worldofspectrum. No, worldofspectrum.net. Okay. Archive. Games. 16,900. Almost 17,000. Search. Lords of Midnight. Software? We gotta... Okay, good. At least this one's easy. Oh. Okay, we have two... Thankfully not three. There are two different versions here. Machine type. I think this is the important one you got to pay attention to. The ZX Spectrum with a 48K might be a completely different, incompatible beast with whatever the ZX Spectrum Next was. Is that on the list of the emulators? It's not. So we'll set the emulator to 48 kilobyte mode. and do this one. Lordsofmidnight.tap.zip. Hey, it's not a dead link. Oh, look at this. The emulator. Wait, you can't look at it. I need to get rid of the page. The emulator is not. There's no window in heavy quotation marks like in the 86 version. In the 82 version, it's a blank screen that just says Sinclair. Super bunny hop. Another thing is that like the first letter that you push gets turned into one of these commands. Maybe that was the trick that made learning programming doable for children at the time. Was that how many letters are in the alphabet? 27. That there would be only like 27 commands, 27 different mistakes you could make instead of literal thousands when it came time to some of this stuff. Okay, I gotta copy this file that just downloaded, lordsofmidnight.tap.zip. Extract here. .tap, the tape file. Let's see what happens if we just click and drag it into the emulator. Nothing. Let's see if we file open it. Nothing. Let's hardware reset and then do a click and drag operation. Nothing. File open. Nothing. Let's set it to the 128 kilobyte version of the ZX Spectrum that gives us the hint of an operating system going on here, and try it that way. Nothing. What is a TAP file? Tape image. Okay, yeah, thank you. How very clarifying. Let's try the TZX. This is the file format that seems to be more supported out of the box for this stuff. Lords of Midnight, the side 1 and side 2. Interesting. Oh man, can I put this in a window capture? The file extracts to right here. The game has two different files for the A side and then the B side of the cassette tape when you flip it over. Yo, bro, I prefer side B of Lords of Midnight. All right, let's click and drag this side1.tzx file into the emulator and see what happens. Nothing. Let's load the tape. What is that? Oh! Oh! Huh? Okay, now that was with the emulator set to the 128 kilobyte model, but now it's showing us the 1982 version, one of the older models. Let's change the computer model on the emulator to 48K, 48KB. Do a hardware reset, and then click and drag side 1 into the emulator. Nothing. No reaction. What if I set it to 16K? Nothing. It's like I have to set it to 128K to get the game going at all, but it's not loading properly. Something is still... What's happening this time? I was able to get something going earlier, and it not doing it this time. Oh. Okay, so this is not what's supposed to happen. I'm pretty sure this is not what's supposed to happen. Maybe I should press the fast forward button. Maybe this is supposed to happen. Oh boy, the fast forward button seems to have made the screen black. Hardware reset. Actually, 100. So another thing that I'm really not getting here is the arrow keys are not going up and down on this menu here. It's like you can only select tape loader and press enter to load. But I don't know what I'm expecting because the Spectrum keyboard did not have arrow keys anyway. Might have been like the select button on an NES where you toggle one. See, like, how can I get a calculator, tape tester, tape loader? I do not understand. I am shooting in the dark here, it feels. Okay, hardware computer model ZX Spectrum 48 kilobytes. That's what it said. That version of the Spectrum that this version of the game was for. Right, the different version of the game corresponds to different versions of the machines. And sometimes you'll find a whole bunch of different ones that correspond to different pirate versions that were slightly altered and stuff. Maybe Lords of Midnight readme.txt, Lords of Midnight the.txt will help me out here. I don't think it's helping me out here. I don't see install instructions, I see game instructions. Oh wow, the original game came with a keyboard overlay designed to fit on a rubber key Spectrum, which had all the keyboard commands written on it. Neat. First game to use landscaping to generate the view of the world midnight from the perspective of the characters under your control. Neat, but how do I play? I want to play. Anyone got any advice? This is simply beyond software. The Spectrum keyboard was like Cap Shift 5, 6, 7, or 8. What? It's the modifier keys up top. Arrow keys. Back in my day, we took forward and we liked it. Okay, it's the modifier keys up top. Let me look at a image of the Spectrum keyboard. Modifier. Oh, look at that. Cyan, yellow, white, and then 8. Okay, I see arrows. They correspond with 5, 6, 7, and 8. So let's load up the 128 kilobyte version that has something of an operating system here. 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay, now we gotta press a, like, 5, 6, 7, 8, boop, 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 is not doing nothing. So we gotta find the modifier key. Cap Shift or Symbol Shift. How the hell do we emulate as the Symbol Shift button? I guess that's what I'm looking for. Oh boy. Speccy emulator symbol shift key. Wait, it's probably actually, here's some input. Cap Shift plus cursor. Invert Kempston bits. What? Symbol shift key is meant to control or alt key on your modern keyboard. Okay, let's try control. No. Let's try alt. Oh, gee, I don't know what that's doing, but it's not what I want it to do. Neither of them did the trick. I would like to have at least enough control over this virtual machine to select the calculator, but it's still more important to get the game going. But the game's not going to get going. I can't get the game to go at all on the 48 kilobyte version of the Spectrum. I can get a corrupted loading screen going on the 128 kilobyte version of the Spectrum. I'm mashing the keyboard. Let's see if mashing the keyboard does anything. I'll try mashing the Alt and Control buttons with other combinations too. Nothing. I'm just gonna try clear settings and quit. Let's close the whole dang emulator. And reboot it. Emulations, EX Spectrum, Speccy emulator.exe. Oh, look at me. Relying on Windows, file paths, stuff that you can slide around the screen. Bloop, 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 bloop. Program a time machine in BASIC. I might have to up text commands to load the game properly. Tape loader, 128 BASIC, Alt 5, 6, 7, 8. Control 5, 6, 7, 8. Nope. Tape loader. Cancel. To cancel, press break twice. Where is the break button? Speccy emulator break button. The Google AI says that the original Spectrum keyboard did not have a break button, but I'm looking at a picture of it right now, and it says break in big capital letters on the spacebar. So maybe they mean spacebar. You guys hear the spacebar, right? All right, let me try modifying it with Control or Alt. Nope, neither of them. Shift. Nope. All right, open computer model, set it to 48K. All right, now file, open, Lords of Midnight. Oh! It inputs some kind of command automatically, but I feel like it's 1983 and I just successfully typed in 16 pages of code from the back of a magazine that a weird kid from school gave me from Western Germany, and we finally got it working after hours. Okay. Actually, this one might be a little complicated. I mean, it's called Lords of Midnight. There's like knights in armor in a magical, mystical, medieval realm. This is what I'm trying to say is this is probably a manual game. And unlike the good old clean fun of a 80s arcade game, an 80s RPG game or an 80s strategy game is one where you had to read a book and maybe even make a book of your own next to the computer next to it. So, oh, fuck yeah, look at this. Oh, this is... Now we're gaming. We are truly beyond software here. The Lords of Midnight. The artwork in the manual looks extremely different from the artwork on the computer screen, by the way. So the solution I want to point out to finally getting this game to work was closing the emulator and restarting it. I don't know. Makes you think of history class. Okay, this owns the robot in the corner. Yeah, hey, there he is. What's he doing? Okay, Luxor and Morkin, the Skullcrin, Corleth the Fae, the Tower of the... What in the RH Salvador fuck are we getting ourselves into? We might have to read 30 pages of manual before, before we can play. Welcome to the world's first ever epic game with a capital E, The Lords of Midnight. What year was this? Spectrum 48K, says the magical wizard. Even the manual even kind of captures the cute dissonance between the artwork and the computer screen, because there is a little computer screen there for you to look at and compare to the comic book artwork. So the manual describes this as the world's first epic game with a capital E. That does not mean the same thing. That does not mean what the author intended it to mean here in 2026 as it would have in 1984. Jetpac was 1983 and this one is 1984. And 1984 looks like it's actually a really big year for the ZX Speccy. Because, I got a list of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 9 games here. And of the 9, 4 of them are from 1984. About half. Can't really divide 9 into half, but about half. About half of the cool stuff that happened on the ZX Spectrum apparently happened in 1 year in 1984. And that's fucking wild, because it's proof that when you hear millennials and Gen Xers complain about how culture and technology have stagnated in the 2020s, this is the shit we're talking about. Alright, the first ever epic game is Lords of Midnight, and more closely resembles a fantasy film than a computer game. That means something different back then, too. They would have been talking about, the Lord of the Rings movies did not exist, would not exist, were almost unimaginable because they thought that it was unfilmable. There's a famous quote from Stanley Kubrick about how unfilmable Lord of the Rings would be. So they're probably visualizing like one of those Ralph Bakshi Fire and Ice sort of deals. where it's an animated fantasy film. They might be visualizing the animated Hobbit, Lord of the Rings movies when they say fantasy film in a computer game. But the main difference is that you're... Welcome to the world's first ever epic game, The Lords of Midnight. It more closely resembles a fantasy film than a computer game, but the main difference is that you're in control of the main characters, and whether you're lean, I don't want to wait. Oh yeah, a war game. There's supposed to be some tabletop influences here. Load up the game. Instructions are on page 21. Okay. Oh, wait a second. No, look at this. You're supposed to read some cheap dime store fiction to get in the mood. Luxor stood at the doorway of the hut, gazing into the white gloom of the forest. A thin scatter of ersh, the fine powder snow of the new moon, was floating down onto the frozen ground. It was time, thought Luxor. It was time. An icicle of fear touched him and shivered through him. He drew his cloak tightly around himself, as though it would warm the chill in his heart, and turned from the forest. "You are troubled, my lord," said Morkan. The boy looked up at Luxor, his face... Oh, that was a boy. "The world is troubled," said the forest keeper. We're gonna go to page 21. I wish I kind of had more time, because this actually kicks ass. Holy shit, look at all this. Are you supposed to read all this before you get to playing the game? Because here we are at page 20, Guide to Play. Place the keyboard overlay on the keyboard of your Spectrum. Holy shit. All right, where is it? Where is it, worldofspectrum.net? Keyboardoverlay.jpg. Oh! Oh, God, this would be so cool. Oh, did this mean that this game was more expensive? Because there would have been more paper bullshit in the box? Yes, no, old game, save, new game. It doesn't say load game, it says old game. Luxor, Morkan, Corlith, Rorthra? What? How are you supposed to pronounce Rorthron? And then select. Okay, so if we can get a picture of a ZX Spectrum keyboard here, and then get this overlay, we might be able to visualize what it would be like to fully get in the mood of coming home from a long day of school and spending the rest of your weekend completely alone in a dark room, having the time of your fucking life, playing Michael Singleton's Lords of Midnight, 1984, on your ZX Spectrum. I wonder if they're gonna expect me to remember this, because there's no way I have the time to print this out and chop little holes in it and find some corresponding keys on my modern keyboard. This kicks ass. I love the idea. I absolutely love this Magnavox Odyssey-ass keyboard overlay you put on your keyboard, and the little, like, mini novella of Swords and Sandals 80s fantasy fiction that you're supposed to read to get in the mood for this experience. This is immersive. This is an immersive game. Oh my god! Keeping track of things, because a lot is always going on in the Land of Midnight. We provided a facility whereby you can keep a printed record of each game as it progresses. You will need a printer compatible with the Spectrum, and you may need a lot of paper. Pressing the copy key. Where was our overlay? Pressing the copy key, this one right here, at any stage of the game will print out the screen in front of you. If you use this facility to its full, you should end up with an illustrated history of the War of the Solstice. By virtue of the moon ring, which lets you the power of vision and the power of command, you control other characters that are loyal to you. Move them through the landscape of midnight and look through their eyes. Okay. Some of these... Okay, so you're controlling different characters and they give you a story excuse. Oh, geez, what's my webcam doing? There we go. When you move a commander, his army moves with him. Some of these characters are simply individuals. Others are commanders. The computer plays the role of Doomdark, the Witch King of Midnight, and controls the characters and armies loyal to him. In addition, the computer also governs... Actually, let's put this manual below. We're not gonna block out anything more important. There are two distinct ways of winning a victory over Doomdark. The first is by war, by sending armies north to the Plains of Despair and seizing the citadel of Ushgarek, from whence Doomdark commands his foul hordes. In such a strategy, Luxor himself will play a major commander. The second way of winning is by quest. That sounds more interesting. By guiding Mork and Luxor's... No! He didn't read Homer too much! I'm gonna take some creative liberties and change Morkan Luxor's son to Morkan, son of Luxor, to the Tower of Doom to destroy the Ice Crown. God, I would have been so into this if I was like 12 years old. Even in my own childhood, I loved retro games growing up. And God, I would have gotten sucked into this so hard. By virtue of his birth, half human, half fey, only Morkan can resist the utter coldness of the Ice Crown's power. Okay, so there's like two play styles, adventure game style and strategy game style. Oh, to play the complete epic, you should place equal importance on both. Okay, so is there like a parallel story of a big grand war? This is just like Lord of the Rings. Yeah, there might be a parallel story of a big grand war going on between armies of thousands of dudes, and then a parallel story where one magical little dude has to go on a big magical quest at the same time. Simply choose, move by move, which characters you want to guide. Doomdark. And the bad guy is named Doomdark. Jesus. Think. You're given more details. Oh wow, the screen becomes largely text and you're given more details regarding things. You're given more... The screen turns to text and you're given more details to think about than if you were looking at graphics. Rothron the Wise! The character... The game proceeds... I think I've read enough. I think the controls don't sound too complicated, but making sure you pick the right character for what kind of game you... What's this science fiction stuff doing? What? Using the copy feature of the game, we're running a competition which will turn the first player to defeat Doomdark into a fully fledged fantasy novelist. Mike Singleton has already set the scene to the Lords of Midnight in this God, this is the scale and the scope here, the ambition. How have I never heard of this? So there was a guy who sounds like he was heavily inspired by cheesy, the kind of fantasy novels with beautiful, ridiculously buff bodybuilders on the cover, where a man and a woman who look like the Soviet movie intro statues will be wearing tiny little pasties and being otherwise naked. It sounds like a guy who loves those kinds of novels and who was writing those novels and wants to make a cool video game about it, is also running a real life contest where if you beat the game fast enough, you collaborate with him on the next book or something. You will share all royalties? What? The Ice Crown will make you the co-author of a fantasy novel based around your adventures in Midnight. Okay, oh my god. Holy shit! Holy shit! So, if you were the first person to beat this game, this guy would give you royalties and a co-author credit and rewrite his next book around your run, around how you performed. We will arrange for a fantasy writer to turn your adventures into a book to be published by one of the UK's top fantasy publishers and sold. You'll get a copy of the book and a share of all royalties? How the fuck does that work? If you were the first to defeat Doomdark, you will have a hand in creating the first ever computer-generated novel? Oh boy. This is wild. Okay. Okay, let me scroll back to just the like how to play section after the 20 pages of dime store fiction and actually get going and play. Luxor, the Moon Prince. He stands at the Tower of the Moon, looking southeast to the Downs of Shadows. What button do I press? Is chat going in a different way so I can have manual and chat and game all on screen at once. We are gaming tonight, baby. I'm only at like number 2 of the 9 games I had on this list. I guess that's another lesson, is that for 80s games, the ZX Speccy got kind of complicated sometimes once you got things going. Alright, what button do I press? Let's try arrow keys. Aha! Luxor, the Moon Prince! He stands out at the Tower of the Moon, looking southwest to the Forest of Shadows. Okay, so is it adventure game style? Looking south to the Downs of Shadows. Northwest, Forest of Shadows. What are my keys corresponding to? I think I need to look at the overlay to understand. Oh, wait, no, there was a README file, actually, that might be easier for modern. Yeah, here. Oh, this is so much more lame. Look at how lame this is. A readme.txt with the list of controls and buttons is absolutely disappointing compared to printing out an overlay and poking holes in it and slapping it on top of your keyboard. All right, 1 to 8 corresponds to looking in directions. North, northeast. 1. The Tower of the Moon, looking north to the Downs of Shadows. Looking northeast to the Forest of Shadows. Looking east to the Forest of Shadows. Looking southeast to the Downs of Shadows. Oh! 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 Do I have to orient myself by that world map I saw in the manual to understand where we're going and what we're doing here? Oh my god. I've barely played this game at all, but like the manual is making it a real like truly immersive multimedia experience. This is really fun. Okay, so maybe we can get an idea of where Luxor the Moon Prince is right now by referencing Mountains of Gloom, Forest of Lothar, Plains of Glorma. Oh, look at these. It's the Mountains of Gorgorath. My favorite heavy metal band. The Downs of Shadows. Let me see what else is going on. Forest of Shadows, Downs of Shadows, Downs of Shadows, Downs of Shadows, Forest of Shadows. Wherever we are on this map, it looks like we are completely surrounded by things of shadows. Downs of Shadows and Forest of Shadows. But earlier I saw... Okay, yeah, this thing. What are these dragons doing here? Forest of Shadows, Downs of Forest of Shadows, Forest of Downs of Shadows. By the way, kids, games don't need voice acting. Whatever you're imagining in your head is going to be way cooler than that. All right, let's find the shadows here. Mountains of Correlay, Citadel of Zaxgarith? What? Okay. Forest of Dregrarm. Downs of... Oh my god, where's the Forest of Whispers? I don't see any shadows. Hmm. Hmm. Middle left is... Oh, there it is. Yeah, thank you, thank you. Blah, blah, blah. Forest of Shadows. So, Downs of Mythari. Plains of Blood. Are the Downs of Shadows around here? Don't see it, but I do see a big hole in the middle of the forest, and if we're surrounded by the Forest of Shadows with the Downs of Shadows in one direction, then I guess, that's us. That's where we are in the land of midnight here. Okay, so, what would be like our objective for the beginning here? If you press New Game, a screen depicting the situation of Luxor, the Moon Prince, will appear, and your quest will begin on the day of the solstice. Okay. Hmm. All right, I guess our first goal. Oh, here we go. I think the downs sound like the safest path, and might correspond with some kind of clearing in the forest here on the map. Let's go to the Downs of Shadows. Double check. Okay, Downs of Shadows are the north and to the southeast and to the south and to the west. We have several different choices of downs. I'm gonna pick the one with the dragons. Okay, spacebar? No. Alright, I'm just gonna mash buttons. Whoa! Oh, hello. That was A, by the way. I pressed A. Let me bring up move in current direction. Oh, Q! Q! It might have been Q I pressed. Because it seems like we moved in current direction. Look in current direction. Think. Choose. Night? What does the night button do? I don't know if this is cropped correctly. Okay. I was looking down. Let's press Q. Seek, hide, fight the Oh! Okay. Hide. Luxor is hidden, dragons are abroad, and he must fight or hide. Less than 7 hours of the day remain, and Luxor is utterly invigorated. The ice sphere is very mild. Luxor is utterly hold. He has with him the moon ring. He thinks again. To save game, start tape, and press enter. Start tape? How do we start tape? Well, we'll press enter. Hey! Oh! Seizure warning. Watch out, kids. Uh, is this one of those old 80s computer things where it's going to take forever because they're writing to a cassette tape? I'm going to fast forward for a bit. Whoa! Hey, verifying failed. Do you want to verify again? No. We want to verify. Okay, what's the no button right now? J. Yeah, this README file is not cropped correctly. Press J to say no. I think it is very rare that a retro computer game, a retro PC game exists that you have to play it on the original hardware to get it, for it to function correctly. That's utterly, completely what's going on here. There is no way that the J key would be the no key in any other world than one where... Where'd the overlay go? Yeah, where this overlay here, where there's a yes and a no key, are gonna get overlaid into a arrangement more convenient just for this one particular game instead of for a unified PC gaming architecture. J for just not yet. Just not yet. Okay, down, looking south to the Forest of Shadows. Okay, how do we go backwards? Q is forwards. Move in current direction. Look in current direction. Think, choose, night, save, load. Yes, no, print. Crashes most emulators if you press the print button. Like Luxor, Morkin, Corleth, Rorthrarn. Or just select. What does the M button do? Select. Luxor, Morkin, Corleth, Roth. I don't know. I actually want to go back. I guess Luxor? The Moon Prince. Looking south. Let's look north. Okay, so the number key. Ooh, the Tower of the Moon. Let's bring up the map and see what. Oh. Man, I can't crop this correctly to give you guys the full experience that I'm getting here, but this is wild. This you would have had. You should be playing this on if not the original hardware, then an elaborate setup that would convert to modern keyboard into something you could slap that overlay on. I want to see what the overlay looks like. Yeah, look at that. North, northeast, east, southeast, south, southwest, west, northwest. North, northeast. Okay. Before. That is hard to remember, but if there was a label on your button, and if the keyboard had like only maybe 60% of the buttons of a modern keyboard, which minimizes the amount of wrong buttons you can press at all, that makes sense. That makes a lot more sense than what I'm schlepping around here. It makes me wonder how the GOG version works. So let's look at these guys. Who are these knights on the screen here? E. He stands looking north to the Tower of the Moon. Okay, let's go say hi. Move in current direction. Do not hide. Press a key to choose. Dragons are abroad, and he must fight or hide. What? I didn't think those were dragons. They looked like knights on horses. Is that me? Thinks again. Seek, hide, fight the dragons. Seek, I guess. He has found nothing. Less than 7 hours of the day remain, and we're utterly invigorated. The air sphere is again. Not fight just yet. Dragons are ahead, and he must fight or hide. I feel like I'm not getting I'm trying to do it all. Hide. Okay, fine. We'll fight the dragons. We'll fight the dragons of the Forest of Shadows with Luxor. No, J for just not yet. Whoa, we're back here. I should have pressed the J button. Okay. Northeast. Let's go northeast. Yeah, the tower's getting a little bigger. That's good. Let's look north. But there's dragons in the way, and I guess they're going to be represented by knights on horseback. Northeast. East. Dragons in the way. Go. Oh, I'm looking. I'm not moving. I'm pressing Q. Not hide. J. No. Hide. J. Oh. E. Oh! Yeah, okay, E is look in current direction. I think I'm gonna have to fight the dragons. What's behind me? Little goblin guys. But it called them dragons too, so I'm wondering... Okay, let's go to the hills. I don't see any enemies here. Move. Do not hide. Okay, fine, we'll fight the dragons. That's it? He slew the dragons! He slew the dragons! Less than 7 hours of the day, and we're utterly invigorated. The ice hero looks is utterly hiding as Move. Do not hide. I want to go to the tower. I saw a cool tower. Where'd the tower go? Slew the dragons and approached the tower. Uh-oh, is it nighttime? It is night, and Luxor is very invigorated. The ice sphere is very mad. Luxor is utterly bold. He has with him the moon ring. Thanks again. I'm not understanding the game logic. But if I had more time... I could. If I had more time, I could understand. Alright, I think, like, you press Q or E to get back to the regular ordinary adventure screens where you go north and examine items, but I'm not examining items. Hey, look at how happy they are. Oh, they're so cute. Let's go say hi with the Q button. Pressing Q to move in the current direction. E is to look in current direction. What about T for choose? Seek. Let's select Morkan. Morkan, he stands at the tower. I don't get it. I don't get it. Why is Morkan in a different place than Luxor? Let's select Corleth. Stands at the tower looking into the forest of shadows. This game did have GTA 5 character switching. That Luxor? Oh, Corleth made it out of the forest. Did he, actually? The graphics look like mountains, but the text is saying shadows. Different time zone. What's this post coming out of the ground in the distance? Move in current direction. Okay, now we're on the plains of blood. Is Luxor? Luxor's in a different time zone. Corleth is moving towards some kind of interesting monolith in the distance. The plains of blood looking east. Let's see what the plains of what's to the east of the plains of blood on the map. The blood hinge. The forest of okay, it could be the blood hinge, or it could be the citadel of Shimmeril. That's Tolkien plagiarism. Sounds of Mithril. Oh. It is night and Corleth is very invigorated. How come I can't move? I'm pressing Q and it's not moving me towards interesting thing in the middle of the screen. Describing how nighttime. I'm ready to move on to the next one. And even though I didn't do anything and did not understand how this game works, I'm really impressed. Because it's just a complicated game. It just takes a while to learn, and then it'll make a hell of a lot of sense. I'm really impressed. The ambition, the scope, the manual, the real life contest that you participate in to get royalties of a sexy 80s fantasy novel. Maybe you have to press the night button and set up camp. I don't know. We'll find out later, because now we're going to play Set Willy. And I guess we're also going to close the emulator and reboot it, because it might not work right. I think I have a Set Willy file in here. Now, whatever you're thinking Set Willy is, unless you already know what Set Willy is, you're probably thinking of something wrong. I believe that Set Willy is not a game where we're gonna have to have the manual open. We'll find out. Oh, oh no! We do need the manual. Okay, so Set Willy is a game where the manual has some copyright protection we're gonna have to crack here. And I fucking hate this. Oh, look at this. How am I supposed to navigate these 80s colors? They kind of look like pixels. Kind of look like a red, green, blue array of vertical lines that make up a bigger image if we zoomed out of here. But anyways, I might need the Twitch to help me out with this one. Enter code grid F6. Is this the same one I put in last time? Is it going to pick you the same one every time? Now, I'm seeing F6. Let me get this cropped better. Okay. F6 is green, lime green, blue. Uh-oh, Fat Sack says F6 is red, green. Are you sure? I think you're the colorblind one and I'm the normal one, actually. I see green, lime green, and then a kind of purplish blue. So what would that be? 4. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. I don't see a lime green on here. 4 looks like lime green. Oh, boy. Are you telling me that there's reds and greens there and I can't tell them apart? Okay, backspace, delete, shit. Well, we're fucked. We're fucked. We cannot delete. We're just gonna have to put in a wrong code and then press enter. I also screwed that one up when I played this earlier. Never mind, forget F6. We're doing G8 now. G8. Shit, fuck. G8. Looks like green, magenta, green, red, purple, red, G8. So you're seeing red. Okay, I can see how that's kind of purple. But it also looks like the last one is different from the first two. Or is it just because they're not side by side and I can't notice? But it's not the same color in the manual versus the screen. Red, purple, red. I'm doing Fat Saxes. Red, purple, red, enter. I gotta make it bigger. Okay, so Set Willy is a comedy precision platformer with a kind of British sense of humor going on. We begin the game in a bathtub in a bathroom, and one thing that I think is very important is that the graphics are just there enough to convey the idea that that is really a bathroom with a toilet clattering its lid infinitely in a bathtub that is a blue rectangle. Top landing, the bathroom. Top landing. Now, this is a precision platformer with abstract enemies that are sometimes kind of funny, that has a little name for every single room. There is no side-scrolling. When you get to the... I guess we're not going the top route. Let's try middle route. When you get to the edge of a screen, you'll just instantly teleport into the next one. What is that? That looks like a Swiss Army knife or something. When I first saw this, I immediately thought, oh! It's VVVVVVVV. Not Skibbity, VVVVVVV. Yes, names like every room, like VVVVVVV. And it's even sort of a similar vibe. Oh, look at this. So this is the master bedroom. And fun story about this game. The story in the manual, in English, will tell you that this is Willy's Italian... You can make her move her thumb. Italian maid who is, like, forcing him to go pick up some trash before he's gonna be allowed back in his bedroom to sleep off his hangover or whatever. 7:06 a.m. I wonder if there's a time limit. And in Czechoslovakia, where the pirate versions of this game were more popular, and there was no manual, and there was a language barrier, the players thought that was his wife. And so in order to be allowed back in the bedroom and go to sleep at the end of his quest, you had to somehow satisfy his wife first. Which gave the game, which was already kind of a funny comedy British thing, a raunchy sexual innuendo going on here. First landing. What is that gonna mean? Is there a way I can get off these stairs? Right. We didn't have arrow keys. Control is the jump button. X is the jump button. Z is the jump button. Everything is the jump button. S is doing something. I think S is the pause button, maybe? What happened to the sound? So, another thing that I think is funny, is that the nightmare room. What happened to me? First landing, nightmare room. Something weird's going on in the nightmare room here. It turns out that VVVVVV is not actually inspired by this. Terry Kavanagh did not play Set Willy growing up. He played a different game. I hope I'm actually not getting them backwards. He played a different game called Manic Miner that was done in the same style. I think it was by different developers who more or less copied each other, borderline plagiarizing these game designs, where both games are precision puzzle platformers. More emphasis on the precision than the puzzle. And they have little names at the bottom of every room to make them more memorable. Oh no! Ah! I think we are gonna need the manual for this one. I'm gonna press S and pause. S for pause. S for stop it. I gotta go do something. And get to the Set Willy page of worldofspectrum.net here. And make sure that this is covering up the screen instead of the garish Seizure colors. Because things are still pretty abstract and weird. Set Willy. This was an extremely popular game, by the way. Look at how many versions there are. Up to 2005, people were still making homebrew stuff for these systems into the 2000s. Okay, Set Willy from 1984, arcade game, sure. Imagine. Manual. There's the code sheet. What are these JPEGs? Maybe these JPEGs have what I'm looking for. Yeah, here we go. Oh, it's a little map. Die, mortal. Entrance to Hades, a very nasty piece of work. See, there's a sense of humor going on here. A lot of time has passed. It kind of feels like something might have gotten lost in translation here. But where's the bathroom that you spawn in? I want to see what... Oh, that's so useful, because you got to backtrack. Oh, there's the cross I was at. Okay. So the bathroom is here, number 21. Conveyor belts and direction. 21 is bathroom, right. But what was that game over screen where he got stomped on by a giant foot? I want to know what that is. Apparently the manual explains something about a maid who blocks your path, and I saw that happen. This must have been in a gaming magazine, as opposed to the manual. So these are like hints of a manual. What's the TXTs about? Oh, that's a TZX, not a TX. Is this zip file gonna have a manual in it? Nope. Great, now I have like 3 different versions of Set Willy on my computer. Miner Willy, intrepid explorer and Noval Riche socialite, has been reaping the benefits of his fortunate discovery in Sorberton. What the fuck does any of that mean? He has a yacht, a cliff-top mansion, an Italian housekeeper, and a French cook, and hundreds of newfound friends who really know how to enjoy themselves at a party. Really know how to enjoy themselves at a party. His housekeeper Maria, however, takes a very dim view of all his revelry, and finally, after a particularly boisterous trash, she puts her foot down. So it's his maid, super duper pissed off at the mess he's making in his precision platformer house, putting her foot down. What is all this lingo? When the last of the louts disappears down the drive in his Aston Martin, all Willy can think about is crashing out in his 4-poster. What is a 4-poster? What is a lout? Maria won't let him into his room until all the discarded glasses and bottles have been cleared away. Right, okay. So you travel around the Metroidvania map, doing precision platforming at a remarkably slow speed. This does not feel like modern precision platformers, but I think that is what the genre is here. Collecting discarded glasses and bottles from a party. You should manage okay, though. You'll probably find some loonies been up on the roof, and I would check down on the road and the beach if I were you. Good luck and don't worry, all you can lose in this game is sleep. Why not join the Jet Set and share in Willy's good fortune? Software projects are offering a prize to the first person to write or telephone our offices with the answer to this question. How many glasses do you have to collect to beat the game? Wow. So there were also like real-life contests associated with beating these games. If you could prove it to the developers, you got some kind of prize. You got 6 champagne glasses and a case of Dom Perignon? What? Well, I was rolling my eyes at the first part of that sentence, not the second one. I wonder if that's worth as much as the royalties would have been for for bad 80s fantasy novel with sexy bodybuilders on the cover. But one thing that I gotta know here is what's the deal with Jet Set? Because this has absolutely, positively nothing to do with Jet Set Radio. It's a completely different vibe and it sounds like it's a British thing. The Jet Set is a social group of wealthy and fashionable people who travel the world to participate in social activities unavailable to ordinary people. Oh, there are people who fly around on jets a lot. Cafe society involving traveling from one stylish or exotic place to another via jet plane. The democratization of air travel has been replaced by the term glitterati. Okay. So it's like British or otherwise European slang for someone who travels around the world a lot on a jet. What does that have to do with Jet Set Radio, though? Because I always thought it was called Jet Set Radio because you had, like, little jet engines on your skates sometimes that would glow. Anyways, let me double check the manual for Jet Set Willy here. Because I don't think they're complicated, and I just want to know what in the world that foot meant. It says maid putting her foot down. Okay, that's funny. That's a funny game joke. Maria, Willy's housekeeper, would not let Willy go to bed until he was cleared up. The aim of the game is to collect all the flesh and objects from each of the rooms and return to the master bedroom. Type in right typer. Allows you to flick between rooms by holding down. Okay. Those are cheat codes. Controls. Oh my god, this is like the opposite of Lords of Midnight. Alternating keys on the Q to P row. Right. Q, P, A, G, pause, H to enter, tune on it. So, when I press S to pause, what is the logic there? A to G pauses. And H to enter turns the tune on and off. All right. We didn't need the manual, but that was helpful. That was helpful. I now understand that if you lose the game, which apparently is not a very... Okay, we got 5 lives here. If we lose the game, you see a funny joke. Oh, it's a Monty Python reference. Huh. That's British as fuck. This is the most British game I've played in my life. Alright. I'm pressing enter. Let's give it a serious go. Oi mate, what's up? I'm giving bash on me old Jet Set Willy, eh? Aha! If I was a rich man from Fiddler on the Roof, I was wondering what that was. Wait, why did I die? Is there fall damage? There is fall damage in a precision platform. Interesting. But I guess there is no way to go up or down. There's just left, right, and jump. So getting under those stairs is not... You don't just press down to drop below the stairs. We're gonna have to find an alternate route. Now, why do we turn into a rodent creature with wings in the nightmare room? Also, I wonder if that flashy glowy is a broken glass or bottle I should collect. Oops. Maybe I should ignore it for now. I don't feel like I have... I'm not foreseeing... Okay, no, I'm tempted. I'm gonna go after it still. Yeah, I'm not seeing a easy way through there that's worth the time just yet. The banyan tree. Oh no, oh no, oh god! Okay. Oh, there's a giant microchip. Whoa. There's an interesting silhouetting effect here. I feel like this little demon with the pitchfork, I feel like I've seen him in VVVVVVV. So, Manic Miner came out before this, which meant that this is, like, a kind of shameless Manic Miner ripoff, but with more comedy. I'm gonna take a different route. That's such a weird jumping noise. It sounds like someone's smacking their lips. Oh, do I collect this thing that's flashing on the left? Doesn't look like a glass or a bottle. Yeah, I got it. Items collected. 1. Ah. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Am I locked out? No, there was an item to collect in the bathroom, I believe. Fuck. I don't know if I like the jumping in this game. It's not feeling very precise for the precision that it looks like a faucet. Vial. This looks like a faucet. That's not a glass or a bottle. Ugh. First landing. Okay, there aren't alternate... Oh, Jesus. I don't understand how other games kept fucking that up when Metal Gear figured it out years earlier, where you don't put an enemy right where you spawn in a room. Your player's gonna walk into it without knowing what's going on. So the game design here is somewhat lacking. This isn't exactly as elegant or timeless as Jetpac, for sure. Jetpac still kicks ass. It sounds like Lords of Midnight might kick ass if I had more time to give it. But this is... I wonder how... Whoa, what? Why did I clip into the bottom of the platform there? This is grinding against modern sensibilities where a kind of modern genre of this sort of thing appeared with way tighter control. I feel like if I was controlling the Jetpac Man, I'd be able to do these jumps easier than Set Willy can here. Does Willy have a church? It kind of looked like it. But part of the comedy... Wait, how do I get down to the bottom? Collect that flashy... Oh, if you don't press the buttons, it pauses the game for you. Yeah, I wish I was playing Jetpac Willy instead of Set Willy. Oh, how do you do that? Oh, how do you do that? You get the thing down there. How do I? I'm not seeing an opening. It looks like I'm gonna have to bide my time in between the two, but I'm like too fat to squeeze between the two without hitting one of them. Also, I think that manual said that the only thing you have to lose is time, and no, there is a very, very clear fail state. The spinning chip is like the highest frame rate object in this. Every now and then, some of these little abstract enemy characters will be surprisingly well animated. Okay. I don't think that's If I Was a Rich Man. If I was a rich man, da 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 da. I'm not hearing it. I'm going to look up a walkthrough to figure out how to play this game and then maybe not commit? I'm just curious and want to know. What the hell is it doing? Alright, I want to press S to pause. S for stop. Yeah, I should definitely put a seizure warning on the YouTube version of this. But I did find a Set Willy complete walkthrough that is way too big right now. And we'll see what I was doing wrong. I will have my curiosity sated, but after this I'm going to switch to the next game. I also want to point out, this walkthrough is only 10 minutes long. Looks like he's going to the master bedroom first. No, he's collecting the items first. Okay. Whoa! Excuse me, brother. How was I supposed to know that? Okay, let's... Fine, I'm curious. We'll try it. We'll try it. So you get below the stairs by jumping through them? Yep, you get through the stairs by jumping through them. Duh, what am I, some kind of idiot? Even misleading, because it looks like he gets caught on a stair for a second before deciding to go through. Okay, that time it just plain didn't work. How would you figure that out? Would a manual tell you? So one path was too difficult, the other path was too cryptic. What a... Yeah, I hate how the kids who grew up in the 80s would make us 90s kids feel bad about not growing up in the 80s, but imagine growing up with that being your average video game, either too cryptic or too difficult. Pick a poison. To the kitchen's main stairway. Oh, also, that might not be a church in his house, that might just be a wall decoration. The spider kills you, good to know. Oops. The jump is so imprecise and uncontrollable and slow. Jumping that... No. We have no air control, and you have fall damage. Ballroom West. Okay, this is cute, this is cute. Some cute things are happening. That was really a really weird jump. Oh god, the pig just decided to change directions. What is this, a bunny rabbit? Alright, items collected through. Am I gonna die from fall damage? Yes, I am. That's the fall damage noise. Well, that's Set Willy, everyone. One of the most popular ZX Spectrum games by Jetpac kicked ass. Michael Singleton's Lords of Midnight kicked ass. Maybe the only reason Set Willy was as popular as it was is because British gamer kids in the 80s had shit taste. We're going to be playing another 1984 game next. This is 1984, by the way. The next game we're going to be playing is Sabre Wulf. That sounds rad. That sounds like it kicks ass, right? I've played 3 of these games. 2 out of the 3 kicked ass so far. Maybe we're scoring good. But after Sabre Wulf, I'm going to have to call the stream. It's 11:09. It's getting close to my bedtime. I'm going to go get a snack from the kitchen, and I'll be right back, and we'll play Sabre Wulf. And Wolf is spelled W-U-L-F to make it extra cool. It's going to be so funny to put a seizure warning on the title of a YouTube video. Oh, yes. Oh, snacks. Sabre Wulf. I think swords are cool. I think wolves are cool. Let's figure out how to download and play Sabre Wulf for the ZX Spectrum. Where's my Firefox window? Or here. There it is. Okay. Worldofspectrum.net should help. Oh, that's worldofspectrum.org. No, the bad one. Don't. My OBS is extremely disorganized. There it goes. Fuck's sake, I lost track of Twitch chat. Okay, there it is. Is the British Citizen Kane a video game? The guy that uploaded that is the guy who won the champagne. Can't know the lore if you're epileptic. Some pretty fun Twitch chat messages, though. Games. Quick search. There is no search bar. There we go. Sabre Wulf. Software. Yeah, okay, so it looks like we're gonna be some kind of British safari adventurer wearing a pith helmet, killing rhinoceroses in the jungle. That's very British. Oh, Ultimate Play the game. It's rare. Okay, never mind. All of my... This is good. This is probably going to be good. I guess we'll do the SCR. No. We want a TZX. Please don't be... No! Try the SCR then. And which machine is this for? The ZX Spectrum 48K. Okay. Set hardware to 48K mode. And give it a reset. Not just reset, but actually close the emulator. Gotta also... They really should have stuck with Ultimate Play the Game. That's such a cool name for a game developer. That rhino kind of looks like the one from DK Country. You're only saying that because it is a rhino. There's only so many different games you can draw a rhino with like 30 pixels on an 8-bit screen. Oh man, we're using the same file format as that Jetpac didn't work, that just loaded in forever. Okay, Set Willy, sabrewulf.scr. Okay, something's happening here. The same Ultimate Play the Game logo as with Jetpac. But are we gonna get stuck in an infinite loading screen like with Jetpac? Not working. Game didn't load. I tried to put in an exclamation point, but the ZX Spectrum couldn't do punctuation, so it turned into a K. Wait, Sabre Wulf is loading? Did it say it was loading? Because I missed that. I do have it set to 48K mode. It did not say it was loading. Well, let me see if I can find another image. Okay, So I think one of the problems here might be that I'm downloading something that just gives you the loading screen and nothing else. I see now on the worldofspectrum.net site that what I downloaded, sabrewulf.scr, is a 7 kilobyte loading screen, as opposed to the TZX tape image. Oh, hell yeah, that's what it looked like. But the TZX is down. Sabrewulf.tzx. We'll search for that. Don't want to play the remastered one. We're going to get it from the Internet Archive. We're not going to play it in their emulator yet. We're going to give it the good old college try on our own first. .z80. I haven't seen one of these before. I don't see a TZX though. What we want. Reminds me, there was a Spectrum, the Z81 computer. I don't remember reading about a Z80, but I do remember reading about a Z1 computer. Okay, the emulator does look like it supports .z80s. They call it a snapshot file. Oh, I gotta turn that volume down. Okay, so next question is this going to be a manual? What? A manual game. Jetpac was not a manual game. It was pretty simple and arcadey, but it also remarkably had a little text explainer about how to play the game in there. Kimpston joystick. What's this interface 2 do? Keyboard. Oh, interface 2 must be your second player's interface. Okay, I get it. Start game. The music is not bad in this one, actually. Alright. What do we... What the hell? What is... Oh, God. Oh, God. I don't even... What... Okay, so I guess the idea of us being a British pith helmet explorer is conveyed enough. Oh, God. Now we're getting attacked by savages and scorpions. There it is! The glorious empire, the experience of... This might be more British than Set Willy. You just spawn in the jungle with the pith helmet and everything attacks you, including a kind of racist depiction of the natives. Wow. I was not expecting that to be the Sabre Wulf game. Yeah, I was expecting like a helicopter attack helicopter game or a medieval sword chopping game. I don't know. Let's try this again. Are we coming out of the flower? No, I'm mashing buttons and trying to do stuff and absolutely not getting anything done. We gotta consult the manual. I hate to say it, but Sabre Wulf apparently is a game where you're gonna need the manual. Okay. Seems pretty simple, but getting dunked in there is absolutely seemingly cryptic. To install the game, you connect it to the ear socket on your Spectrum. Place the cassette tape in the recorder, rewind to the beginning, type load, press play on the cassette recorder. Sabre Wulf will now load automatically, and a message will appear on the screen after several seconds. Q, W, E. Why is E down? R. Weird. E. Stab with T? That's weird. What a mysterious jugo. Whole game can be paused by using the cap shift. Right. Where's my cap shift button? Do I press caps lock or shift? Why are the controls like that? Okay, T. Oh, I'm trying. I'm fucking trying. Q, W, R. What the fuck? They don't correspond to any of the directions that you were pressing. And I don't think the Spectrum keyboard looked different enough to warrant that. U, W, E. Those are the controls. I was getting responses from my character by pressing those buttons. Left is Q, right is W. That makes sense insofar as that Q is to the left of W. But down is E and up is R. So I have to keep my two fingers on Q and W and maybe keep two different fingers on E and R. And then you stab with T. Like, is this just... It's not sped up because of the image. Set Willy was performing at the same speed in the walkthrough. Was Sabre Wulf walkthrough. Maybe like the Set walkthrough, just watching a bit of footage of it on YouTube help and dream basics here. Oh, great. OBS isn't capturing the properly. Goes. Whoa, what the hell? Okay, first of all, first thing we learn is mash the attack button as soon as the game begins. Gotcha. No. Still not saving me. Okay. Okay, now if I want to go up, that's R. No, Q. W, get away. No. There's a game in UFO 50 that does this shit, where the only reason the game is so hard is because the controls just don't correspond to their logical directions. Jesus Christ. I don't have any time to experiment or understand. What is Interface 2? Is Interface 2 just straight up better controls? Because those do not make sense. Sabre Wulf controls. I can't be the only person who's had this problem. Okay. The original retro game relied heavily on keyboard layouts. The Google AI actually going to help me out here? Because it looks like we can WSAD. Move left is Q or A. Move right is W or S. Move down is E or arrow key? Move up can be R or arrow key? Is Sabre fight is T. Tap shift plus break. Well, we'll see what if interface 2 does anything at all to help me out here. Okay, well, spacebar is pause. The arrow keys. God damn it! Were you supposed to play this with a joystick? I am not able to even complete my thinking. Where's my life? Oh, it's like in Jetpac. Same. Are the Jetpac controls weird? Was the version of Jetpac I was playing changing the controls to something that makes sense? I also don't know what Interface 2 did. I'm not finding a full manual here, just these control cards. No. Ah! Ooh. Spacebar? No. Oh, God. Fucking. I would like just a blank room to practice the controls in. That would be nice. Ah, get away! What's the left button? I thought it was Q. Why is it... No, okay, it is Q. Jesus. This is so sad because there's a very normal looking game going on here. But, all I would need to do is rebind the keys so that they face the directions you move in, and then we'd be good. Sabre Wulf controls. This is extra frustrating because the game looks so incredibly normal and ordinary. I'm looking at other manuals. Commodore 64 version has different controls up and down using ZNA, and that makes more sense because ZNA are below Q and W. ZNA do nothing here. I don't have enough fingers to like press T at the same time as Q and W and E and R. There's some inertia to the character too. He's slippery and slidey like a fun rarer character, but get away, get away, get away, get away. But pressing Q to go left and W to go right and T to stab the sword and E and R to go up and down just it is not translating to my brain and it feels bad. Feels fucking bad to not be able to do something so basic. I don't think this is the way anyone was supposed to play this game. This can't possibly be right. Ugh. And it also breaks my heart too because it's like it's Jetpac style. It really is. You have a fun, slippery little character. This would be a lot of fun if I could make the controls make sense. X Spectrum. Yeah, there's a .txt guide on worldofspectrum.net and has the same controls. All right, I'll give it another go. And the other thing is that like I feel like I could learn them if I got some fucking time. E Q E O. Let's go to the next room. There was some quiet time and okay, I can. No, I can't. Go away. Go. No, I can't. Oh, I can hold the attack button down. Okay, if I hold the attack button down, it's not about mashing the attack button, it's about holding it down. If I hold it down, I can kind of sort of raise a shield, even though he's slashing a sword. It feels like raising a shield and hiding behind it to think for a second. Just one fucking second, please. Yeah, just back away. No, go left, you idiot! Oh! Can't really back myself into a corner and hold the shield up in as tight a nook as I want to. And E and R, I still don't know which does which. E goes up, R goes down. Q and E. No, E. Ah! Oh, Lord. I'm not doing something right. The walkthrough looked completely different. Probably because they might have been playing on a joystick or something. So... let's... what do I got? Do I have Joy 2 key? Do I have some app to rebind keyboard commands here? Because the emulator I don't think does it. Click your joystick. Please click OK while holding buttons. Fire. Oh. I'm gonna download Joy to Key real quick and try to get this figured out. Because can't you just rebind keys on joystick, on Joy to Key to different keys altogether? Smooth inertia makes it look like I control well if the buttons were laid out properly. Yeah, right? Like, I'm seeing a very exciting looking game here. It's right in front of my eyes. It's so close, but so far. Okay. No. It doesn't look like I can combine keys, duplicate keys. Wait to keyboard emulate. Left, I want to be Q. How to rebind keyboard. Microsoft Power Toys has a keyboard manager? That's what the Google AI is saying. Can Joy2 key rebind keyboard keys? Okay, there's some Reddit users saying you can't. Oh, with the Microsoft Keyboard Layout Creator. Sounds too blank for maybe I can emulate the joystick and just bind the joystick commands. Okay, fire a spacebar. That just deleted the window. Oh. Click OK while holding buttons corresponding to fire A on try Z. Okay. I don't think this is looking for. Wait a second. Wait a second. You know what I can do? I can use Joy2 key to map these wonky ass keyboard controls to the Xbox controller. Yeah. Let's do that. Let's do that. Look at me. I'm tinkering with my PC that's user friendly and giving me a lot of headaches. But in order to navigate these rough waters, I'm coming up with my own creative solutions. It's like I'm really a computer nerd kid in the 80s learning how to turn this black box that doesn't do anything into a fun gaming machine. Sabre Wulf is going to be the name of a new Joy2 key profile. And the D-pad left is going to correspond to Q. God damn, these controls. Okay, keyboard right is going to correspond to joystick. D-pad right is going to be E. Up is going to be fucking R. So that means that down is E. That's so weird. Down is E. So wait, how do I go right? W, not Q. What am I, some kind of idiot? Stab slash sword fight with T. So we'll just make that the B button. Boop, boop. Excuse me. Steam is messing with my Xbox controller again. There we go. Gotta close Steam and get that fixed. B is stab for T. T for stab, of course. Let's make A stab button too. Pause is spacebar, and that's gonna be start on the controller. Okay, I'm excited now. Let's do it. Keyboard, start game. Okay, Sabre Wulf, the classic, rareware, one of the best. Oh geez, my ups and downs are reversed. It's already making more sense though. Let me fix that. This is moving extremely fast. Up and down are reversed, of course. No fucking way. Is the manual wrong? E, R. R is making me go down. E is making me go up. The manual might be wrong. It might get the ups and downs backwards. Okay, E for up, R for darn. Yeah, look at me go. I'm doing it. I'm actually playing the game like the game developer told me to. The super play the game. Your character is extremely slippery. Can you not slash down? This is hard as hell, but I'm getting it. Okay, I guess I gotta collect flowers and rings apparently. I thought the manual would explain something about that. Because Jetpac had something like that going on where you had to pay attention to extra objectives, but there was a lot less going on in Jetpac. It was immediately more straightforward. Oh no! Wait, this might be a blessing in disguise. The red... I can't attack though, but... Wait, I'm kind of invincible. I got a one-man. Okay! This shit is... Oh, I'm still alive. I'm still alive. I'm still in it. Ah! Maybe on the VOD someone will clarify, but is there anyone in Twitch chat who can clarify? That made so much more sense than playing on the keyboard with the default keyboard controls. How were you supposed to play that on the default keyboard controls? And were you even supposed to play that on the default keyboard controls at all? Let's ultimately play the game again. I want to hear what I'm doing wrong from someone who is there. Okay, you can't slash up and down, and you just got to deal with that and strategize around it. The character's so slippery, he does not feel good to control like Jetpac Man did. Why was this regarded as one of the best ZX Spectrum games? It seems like there's a lot going on here I'm missing. That poor monkey. Yeah. Oh, right, you hold it down. I don't gotta keep tapping the attack button. I like how I can make an entire rhinoceros just fuck off, get away. I don't like how in these super play the games, they make a lot of bad guys just spawn right on top of your ass. Like, all the time. It's so hectic. Ah! I can only imagine people got used to it. I can't imagine people getting used to that. You guys did not feel what I felt. Where, like, you press a button on the keyboard and it doesn't correspond to the direction the button is placed on the keyboard. And then you press another button on the keyboard and your character goes in, like, the exact fucking opposite direction of where it's placed on the keyboard. I highly doubt you could put that Zulu warrior. They made this game for the GBA. I wonder if they got conscious and chose... Oh my god! The other thing going on that was confusing me so much is that apparently there's a plant debuff you can pick up that Jesus Christ. That reverses your controls when I hadn't even learned the controls yet. I'm not switching to keyboard, no matter how much I learned this game. That shit was awful. Okay, I got 1% of the adventure completed, but I don't know if I like this as much as Jetpac. This is way harder. Your character feels less controllable, especially since you can't, goddamn, attack up or down, and things are going to be attacking you from up and down. In Jetpac, you can't attack up or down either, but the, like, side-scroller logic of it, kind of meant that you never really wanted to. This is a top-down game where enemies are going to be coming from the north and the south instead of from your front, and instead of from above and below. This is not a side-scroller, so being able to attack on the y-axis seems a lot more important here than it did in Jetpac. Do those flowers spawn enemies? What is the logic here? I'm also trying to understand what causes enemies to spawn and what MacGuffins I'm after, and why my attacks sometimes do not work. I think it's color-coded. Like, there should have been a more complicated manual. Like, there's something more complicated going on here than the Stico. Okay, now my controls are reversed. Donkey Kong 64 had a... This is actually a blessing. Donkey Kong 64 had a fun multiplayer mode where you could make another player's controls get reversed. I guess Rare thought that was cute and funny for 15 years of game development. There's no way. These are very different games than their N64 platformers. So I'm wondering if I am seeing... Do you not kill them, though? If so, that gives them a little bit of social conscience. It looks like you don't kill the natives, you just make them run away. You have achieved today's 6th highest score. Please register your initials. Okay, let me switch back to keyboard. Oh no, you don't type them, you go up or down! So it's like they had a whole keyboard available for you, and the game could only use 4 buttons on it. I wonder if that was because of a memory limitation? Maybe they didn't notice up or down and switch because nobody even tested it on keyboard because they assumed everyone had a joystick. Everyone didn't have a joystick, though. There were a lot of old PC games from the 80s and early 90s that seemed like they were designed to need a joystick. There were a lot of flight simulators. This is not a flight simulator. And even then, the flight simulators, I remember playing them without a joystick sometimes. I'll give this another go. I'm starting to figure it out. Ah, fuck! Never mind! I thought I was collecting this thing. Okay, what things am I collecting and what things am I not? I feel... Okay, it disappeared when I crashed into it when I got hurt. Ah! Ah! We're just gonna go. Woke British explorer doesn't kill the natives, he makes them run away, right? How wholesome. What an educational, anthropological experience. Oh shit, did you guys hear about how the North Sentinelese Island is probably gonna get sunk by global warming sometime soon? They're never gonna find out what's going on in the rest of the world, but maybe they'll be better off for it. So you don't kill the natives, you make them run away. It looks like we're running around their jungle collecting their treasure and killing all their animals, though, and that's pretty bad. I guess I can't kill the rhinoceros either. That would... What the fuck is going on? Okay, I gotta explain something. For a second, it looked like the rhinoceros ran into a flower, got a power-up that made it turn yellow, and then break through my fencing that was keeping him at bay. They put the keyboard controls in there in the default case of someone only having the keyboard but didn't care enough to even check. I want to hear from someone who was there. I want to hear this from a 40 or 50-year-old man. Or a woman, but probably a man, considering how things have worked until extremely recently. And hear what they would have to say. Because this was... I consulted a list of, like, the best ZX Spectrum games. And now that I'm working it on... Oh, I can move and slash at the same time! Now that I'm figuring this out a little more, I think I'm liking it better than Set Willy. But at least Set Willy was comprehensible, which is a funny sentence because that game is also abstract and psychedelic as hell, but the logic was comprehensible. The controls and the logic seemed a lot more simpler than this. Oh, look at me now. Oh, I'm the master of this. I'm going to show this game who's... Yeah, fuck off! Fuck off! Oh, I'm learning! I'm learning! Look at me! Wait, get through the rhinoceros. I've gotten through him before. Oh, that's a tiger sleeping. Okay. Alright, alright. I'm starting to have fun. It took me a good-ass long while. And the game is still incredibly unforgiving and fast. What was that, an iguana? A scorpion? The rhinoceroses, you make them run away. It has something to do with the colors of the character, depending on whether or not they're killable or just runawayable. But the fact that I can move and slash at the same time and hold the button down... Why can't I go left? Okay. It's like glitchy. This is jankier than Jetpac. Jetpac, every now and then my character would get stuck on a piece of grassy scenery. But here I'm getting stuck sometimes, all the time. And the way everyone is moving here feels a lot more amateurish than Jetpac. It's interesting. Your character is slippery. You gotta think about your movement. So there's like some thought put into it, but the way the slipperiness is, the way it was coded feels like a game I made in high school in computer science class that had like no inertia. There is inertia here. There's just like it's misapplied. Like they took the inertia programming tutorial for a day and then decided to ship it. But it's bigger than Jetpac. It's more ambitious. Like this is an adventure where there is more than one screen of game obstacles to find. This is a weird one. I'm gonna have to pause the stream, but I'm intrigued and I want to keep it going now that I got the controls figured out. But for a game that feels worse in my hands than Jetpac, and worse designed in terms of the game design artistry that they didn't know they were creating yet, this is less elegant. It feels like a worse game, but with more to see and do and enjoy. This is a weird... The graphics guy was carrying the controls guy. This one was a weird one. I feel kind of ambivalent about that one. And now that I'm thinking back on it, I think I'm kind of warming up to Set Willy a bit too. It wasn't like awful. It was just it just didn't feel as good as a game that difficult and precision heavy needed to feel. Jetpac is the one that does feel good still. Jetpac does kick ass. Yeah, Zelda Overworld. Same year, by the way. Sabre Wulf, 1984, and Zelda. I think I get it now. I think I can understand how European gamers did have some rad ZX Spectrum games, but compared to Zelda, it might have felt like they were a bit behind. So Zelda definitely has more colors on the screen. I don't think it's a higher screen resolution, but it kind of feels like it. It feels like the camera zoomed out more from your character. The perspective, the graphics, the quality of the art in Zelda 1 I thought was never really good. But the system was pushing more colors and more sprites. Here it looks like the guys actually knew how to draw, and I can't say the same about the very first Zelda from 1984. But the game design in Zelda, as far as like a top-notch, top-down adventure, feels like it makes way more sense. Okay, I just realized something. In Zelda in 1984, you begin the adventure in a blank, empty room where you can learn the controls for a bit. When you start the game, This might be one of the big pinnacle differences between the game design geniuses at Nintendo versus the nascent, emerging amateur hacker scene that was becoming professionals in Europe. Is that in a Nintendo game, when you start Mario, they're a little bit forgiving at the beginning for how difficult they would get very quickly. They teach you better. When you begin Zelda, you're in a blank room where you can learn the controls, and then you go in a cave and you're in another blank room where an old man gives you a sword. This is like a comedy compared. If you press start and open up a new game of Zelda, it would be wild if this is what happened instead. If you just got immediately blitzkrieged by what we're doing, 1, 2, 3. 3 enemies assaulting you from every direction as soon as you spawn in. Compared to a Nintendo game where the first thing you see is a mushroom that runs away from you compared to an enemy mushroom that runs towards you. Mario, I'm pretty sure, begins with no immediate threats when you start the game. Zelda, I'm 100% positive. It's classic. Everyone loves starting a new Zelda game because you begin in an empty room where the old man gives you a sword when you go in the cave. When you spawn this one, you get spawn camped by 6 scorpions. And as good as Jetpac is, as much as Jetpac is the most fun I've had with these so far, it still spawns you still get spawn camped as soon as you begin the game. The the idea of emulating arcade logic for home games is an interesting thing on both sides of the ocean. In Europe, arcade games weren't as popular. Console games weren't as popular, but computer games were. Computer games were emulating arcade games that weren't immediately comparable. As a result, they might have had more complicated technology. No, they didn't. As a result, they might have had more diverse goals and enemies and worlds to explore to keep you playing for a few hours, but they're still doing the kind of thing where you will get fucked within a few seconds of immediately starting. And then the Nintendo games seem designed for around an almost different logic, where it's not about chasing after a high score, it's about getting to the end of a rewarding adventure. And the games begin easy and get harder as you go through, instead of immediately shitting all over you as soon as you spawn. European games for men. This was fun. Tinkering, digging through manuals, dealing with... We actually had an experience where the game did not load, and then we had another experience where we turned some cranks and some levers, we applied some pokes, and then the game did load. We did have a game load infinitely with no way of knowing whether or not it was actually going to finish. This was fun. I feel like I have filled in a hole in... Eddie just sneezed on my fingers. Gross. I'm gonna go wash my hands after I finish the stream. But I want to continue this next week with more games. For ZS Spectrum fans, what we have to look forward to next week is School Days, Deus Ex Machina, The Way of the Exploding Fist, Exelon, and then finally, to tap it all off, the pinnacle of the platform on 1990, when the party was over and we're moving into the 16-bit era, is the mascot of this platform almost. We will play one Dizzy game, and it'll be Magic Land Dizzy, which the list told me would be the best. We will see, though. But I also learned that if the keyboard controls are absolute fucking nonsense, we'll just Joy-to-key them onto an Xbox controller and have fun that way. Yeah, this was awesome. I really enjoyed this stream. Excited for it. We'll be picking this up next Friday, and then on Monday we're doing Metal Gear Monday with more spy fiction. Why am I having so much fun playing weirdo games from like a long time ago that either no one remembers or people feel complicated about? I feel like people do. There is a present fan base of ZX Spectrum fans who still dig this stuff. We saw that there were still some fan made games being made in the 2000s for this. Um, but I bet they agree that this is weird. That this is a weird platform representing a weird demographic of game history that got consolidated into the larger thing. Though I don't know, because one thing I learned during my Czechoslovakian game history book is that a lot of Euro janky simulationist games that are mind-blowingly complicated but try to wrap the complexity around elegant game design that represents the experience of tinkering with a complicated machine include such actual mainstream hits as Factorio, Euro Truck Simulator, Operation Flashpoint, and Arma. I knew that Operation Flashpoint was Czech. I did not know that Factorio and Euro Truck Simulator were Czech games. Those were games made, and Factorio, Euro Truck Simulator. I thought they were German until I read that. But maybe these modern work simulation games that embrace the Eurojank are the descendants of these, because those would have been made by the 40 and 50-year-old men who grew up hacking games together on their ZS Speccies. Neuron activation when experiencing real culture. I think that's what's going on here. Brain active, the neurons. Flashpoint, okay, but Truck Simulator. Bohemia Interactive sounds like a German developer, but it's actually a Czech developer. I don't remember the name of the Factorio developer. But yeah, there's a lineage, there's a history here. This is what European gaming is like, as opposed to American and Japanese games. We're not first person shooting. We're not side-scrolling platforming. We are tinkering with a complicated machine and having fun with some of the troubles it's giving us to create a highly customized and personal experience from the software, instead of simulating gun culture or experiencing the game designer's challenges. The European game sensibilities seem to be steering towards customization and tinkering and feeling like you're mastering the complexity of the machine, of the platform itself, is almost like part of the game. Figuring out how the emulator works was a game in and of itself that I did have fun with. And I will continue having fun with that next Friday. This is going to be a good one.